We are about to go on a journey, let me tell you. I was a perpetual new kid. I moved around a lot. You know those kids, they just seem to come and go without ever really logging any information into your brain? They never gave you an excuse to identify them and be like, yo, that's a person. I moved from Eden Prairie, Minnesota to Carmel, California the summer after 5th grade. And on the first day of 6th grade, I had no idea who anybody was. And it was perfect timing, too, because everyone else was too insecure to introduce themselves for fear of ridicule from others. Middle school was a wonderful time. It was lovely. So we started school on a Monday, and on Friday, the middle school held the 6th grade dance. Now, oh, you think you know what's coming, you don't. Now, to me, that sounded terrifying. But I learned how to be a person from Disney Channel. And don't act like you didn't. I learned how to be a person from Disney Channel. So, and I went to school, and I participated in society, and I learned Pythagorean theorem, and then I forgot it, like the rest of you. But I learned how to be a person from TV, like any normal American child. And the sweet life of Zach and Cody taught me that you have to ask a girl to the dance. And that sounded fucking terrifying. But like I said, I moved to new towns all the time, so I probably wouldn't even be here for more than a year. And so by the time that I messed it up, I'd be gone. I graduated from Carmel High School in the spring of 2013, so that plan didn't really work out. Anyway, I was sitting in 4th period homeroom, and somehow I got enough courage summed up to turn directly to Caitlin Davis, who was this cute girl in my class, and whisper out into the open, "Caitlin, will you go to the 6th grade dance with me?" And those words bounced off Caitlin like an echo and rolled through the rows of desks in that side of the classroom. This was the verbal equivalent of farting in the middle of a job interview. Now, Caitlin was probably horrified because she was 10. But she tried to play dumb, like she didn't really hear me. But then upon realizing that everybody heard me, just kind of whispered, she was like, "Sure." Now, I was pumped. I had a date. I was dating. Now, I just moved, so I didn't have any friends, but that didn't matter because I had a date. So later that day, I was walking to the bus to go home, and Caitlin Davis walked up to me. I'm sorry, my date, she walked up to me. Caitlin Davis walked up to me and said 2 words that I will never forget. She said, "Actually, never mind." So the dance came, and you know a 6th grade dance. It's at 4 in the afternoon. And every 6th grader is just innocent and confused. It's like a group of minnows that will only travel in packs. You know, every 6th grade boy, myself included, liked a girl who was 5'10" and outweighed him by 25 pounds. It's like the club if the club had glow stick necklaces and Safeway cookies. There was really only one type of movement happening at the 6th grade dance, too. If you could even really call it a dance, it's where you have no idea how to dance, so you and your friends get into what I like to call the circle of insecurity. And the circle of insecurity is where you and your friends, if you had any, get in a circle and do the only thing your sweaty little bodies knew how to do, and that was jump up and down.
Without you, it's hard to survive. 'Cause every time we touch, I get this feeling. And every time we kiss, I swear I could fly. Can't you feel?
Oh, we are on a journey. There is a reason that awkward people dance in circles. There is a design to the circle of insecurity, and no one talks about it. It is an unspoken agreement, a preteen pirate code, if you may. We were severely awkward, surely way too awkward to dance with any one of our friends or have any sort of one-on-one interaction for more than a millisecond, or else we'd have to switch schools. Mom, I looked someone in the eyes again today. We gotta move to the next county. And we really still did want to dance with our friends, but mostly we just needed to be dancing with 9 other people just so we could receive like enough emotional validation to continue existing. Everything I'm doing right now is okay, right? Yeah, you're good. And really, it could have been any random 9 people. It could have been my fucking dentist. I didn't care. We just needed bodies. Now, I was dancing with my 9 other life forms, doing my part to distribute our humiliation evenly, when suddenly, out of the corner of my eye, I see Caitlin Davis walk from across the dance floor and join my circle. And she looked right at me and smiled. And I think that was what I wanted all along. My goal was to have fun and dance with a new friend. And in order to do this, both Caitlin and I had to let go of what that was supposed to look like and just be vulnerable. But the pressure of going on a date, whatever that meant when I was 12, skewed this communication. But this doesn't just happen when you're 12 years old, you're trying to get a date to the dance. This happens all throughout life. To be openly vulnerable is one of the hardest things to do, even for like full-grown adults, like have a mortgage, pay income tax, drive a Honda Odyssey adults. It's just a sad car. When we were preteens, though, that seemed impossible. We felt vulnerable all the time. There was never a moment when I was stumbling through puberty where I was like, my self-confidence isn't raw enough today. I might have to attempt to visualize that for everybody. But as we learn to dance, each tiny step we take, we learn a little bit more about being vulnerable and the powerful places that can take us. Now, you get a little further into middle school, probably around 7th grade, and it was all about frantically trying to be cool, with little to no grace, especially when it came to a dance. Now, as a boy, I didn't really get ready for the dance. I donned my Cheeto-stained hoodie, and the sleeves were always like 6 inches longer than the end of the arm, and they were always somehow dripping wet with something. I couldn't even tell you what it was. The hoodie, though, is really the Swiss Army knife of clothing. It could be a napkin, a Kleenex, a paper towel for spills. It's a magical piece of clothing. Girls got ready. That shit was an ordeal. It took those 2 hours to pick out the exact right pair of jean shorts to wear with your nice Hollister top. 7th grade was interesting because I think about it, and I don't think anyone ever actually stopped moving. When we examine the movement of the 7th grader at the dance, we begin to see a pattern known as the hummingbird shark model. You see, a shark has to keep swimming in order to get, that's how you swim, just in case you didn't know. I learned so much from this TED Talk. A shark has to keep swimming in order to get water through its gills and oxygen to its brain. And the 7th grader at the dance works on the same physiological principle as the shark. The theory is that if it were to stop moving for any amount of time to partake in any one activity, that it could actually die from embarrassment. And we think that they don't actually trust themselves to have any sort of extended social interaction because every time that happens, they fuck it up. And the research still needs to be done, and I'm leading the charge on that. Please donate today. Now, this is where the hummingbird comes in. The hummingbird works on the same physiological principle as the shark. It has to continuously beat its wings in order to stay in flight. Now, this is key. As a middle schooler, you believe you're the shark. You're all business. You're viciously hunting your prey in the deepest, darkest parts of the sea. But then you kind of grew up a little bit, and you came to realize that you're probably a lot more like that little hummingbird, just trying not to run into a window. So it's getting later into the dance, and you can kind of feel it coming. They played all the hits. They played Crank That. They played Bartender. They played the Cha-Cha Slide. And suddenly, the DJ's voice comes over a haze of sweat and Axe body spray hovering above the dance floor. Let's slow it down for someone special. But you're not worried, because you've statistically monitored the mood of the DJ and cross-referenced that with the amount of songs he's played with the time left in the dance, and therefore, you've placed yourself perfectly about 7 to 8 feet from your ultimate crush. That's right, you knew this was coming. So you've been hovering close to him or her for about the last 3 songs, and now it's time to make your move. The music starts fading into existence as the ground beneath you starts to break away, and you reach out your hand for what feels like years to give them the teeniest, tiniest little tap on the shoulder so you can mutter, would you like to dance with me? And if you were lucky, he or she would let loose the little, teeniest, tiniest smile peek out of their face and into the foreground and say, sure. Now, we all know your parents raised you right. So you're going to start this dance arm's length apart. Because after all, she said yes to a slow dance. This woman could be your wife. So, a middle school slow dance is all about the arms, complete arm game. Because the legs have to stay in one constant shift side to side, because if you get out of shift, all hell breaks loose. So, I got my shift going. My arms are straight out ahead of me. It's going good. It's going good. Oh my God, don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact. That's instant death. Oh my God. Now, as this is happening, a few things are going on. The first of which is that leave room for Jesus gap that you had. The leave room for Jesus gap that you had is shrinking and fast. Now you're to the point where you can hardly swipe a credit card between the two of you. Your Axe body spray and her Gwen Stefani perfume have joined forces to melded together to create some sort of toxic preteen Elmer's glue. And you still can't look at each other. In fact, you are looking at your boys at the same time that she is looking at her girls. Now, the girls, they're excited. Oh my God, they're so cute. Do you think they're gonna get married? I think they're gonna get married. Let's have a spring wedding. And the boys, they're freaking out. He did it! They're popping champagne because this is the closest to a sexual interaction that any of you have ever been. You are the Neil Armstrong of sexual activity for these nerds. Now, your hands are getting clammy. They're radiating heat like the fucking sun. And you gotta keep those things on the move to minimize the amount of palm-sized sweat stains you leave on the back of her top. And you're running out of room. You've gone from the shoulders to the lower back. You've done that thing where you hang your hands off the back of her neck. But there's one place you haven't dried them yet. Your heart is beating like a little hummingbird's wings. You slowly wipe your hands down her back, and you get to the last dry spot. That's right, you get to the butt. Now, by the butt, I mean the part just at the top edge of the jeans, right below the belt line. There was no cupping or squeezing by any definition. And the only reason you did this was to wipe your sweaty little Cheeto grabbers. But that doesn't matter. You lose all sense of reality. Mission completed. Your friends are celebrating like they just landed someone on the moon. They're starting a riot over by the snack table. SWAT's getting involved. And you forget that you're in some sort of social interaction with this poor girl. So you still can't look at each other. So as the music ends, you say absolutely nothing and walk in opposite directions, most likely to never speak again. The pamphlet didn't lie when I said I'm like Gumby. I'm a lanky SOB. So, you get into high school. You walk into your first high school dance, and everyone looks like an adult. That guy has a beard, and you are petrified. There's like women here. What if someone wants to make out? I just had my braces tightened yesterday. Yeah, you'll be fine, dude. Don't worry about it. Now, guys, I am not writing a speech about dancing from 6th grade all the way to college and not talking about grinding. It happened, and we have to acknowledge it because it happened, and we have to acknowledge it because if we do not talk about it, history is doomed to repeat itself. And not on my watch. I gotta talk about it. So, the high school dance is all about grinding. And, you know, I'm sure many of you know this, sinners. Now, a high school dance has an epicenter. Here we go, kids. It's something that I like to call the sweaty, horny eye of the storm. Now, it is a scientific fact that the nastiest moves are happening right at the dead center of the dance, right in the eye of that storm. Now, this is not what your little eyes are used to seeing. The center of the storm is traumatizing. And this is what you see. Oh, what are you giving a TED Talk about? Some real innovative ideas right there. Now, your friends have to pick your jaw up off the floor and pop your little eyes back in your skull. Now, as you move away from the center of that storm towards the wall of the gym, you get progressively more innocent. That constant shockwave of BO has pushed all the sensible freshmen with no rhythm and no idea what they're doing back up against the wall. Guys, this is where we find you. You're 14. You have so many pimples on your face, it looks like an indoor climbing wall. You have no grind etiquette training. This was not in the pamphlet that they gave you at freshman orientation. But the guys, they had one job. And that was to first stand there, feet shoulder width apart, awkwardly swaying back and forth like a tree. Hands extended out on the girl's hips. But really, it was all in the face, just fear-stricken. Eyes wide open, just crank the awkward up to 11. Like a horny little deer in the headlights. Now the girls, they could just be having fun, singing along with their friends. I know you know the words to Fergalicious, don't lie to me. Just having fun, and some sweaty kid, feeling good because he passed his permit test, would just walk up behind you and kind of hesitantly place his hands on your hips. And he did it like he kind of knew it was wrong. Like when you put Sprite in your water cup at Chipotle. I know you do it. We're not lying to each other here. Now, maybe you turned around and looked at this kid and were like, no way, you wish. Or maybe you liked this guy. This was that cutie from your chem class you keep cornering to be your lab partner. And you thought to yourself, I could be sexy. I could do what those girls are doing, and that one strange man with very flexible hips. So you take him and you give him a little this. I know what I'm doing. And then when that stops working, you go, yeah. Sometimes we'd all be doing our awkward tree stances, and all the guys would be in a circle like, and all the girls would be like, meh, And I would see the girls like start to talk to each other. And I can't hear anything from T-Pain coming in my ear at 500 decibels. And I always kind of wondered what they were saying. And 15-year-old me always thought that it was like, oh my God, what? Jordan is so hot. Yeah, he is. That probably wasn't it, though. I learned later. Now, you get later into high school. You've been hearing about prom your entire life. Everyone has a crazy prom story. Grandma got wet and wild on prom night. I'm not going to make you think about it, but we could take a moment of silence to think about it. We can buy that time. Now, you hear from a series of outside sources that you need to get a dress or a tux, you need to go to dinner, you need to buy some sort of dead corsage. You generate this list of things that have to happen in order for you to attend prom. Now, the next part is key. If it was a blockbuster movie, it would be called Aggressive Negotiations, The Battle at Dad's Checkbook. Somehow, the most prettiest, nicest dress is always the most expensive one on the page. But Dad humors you. He wants you to look your best. So he buys you the dress. Now, a couple days later, you come back in. Dad, there's been a break in the case. You know that perfect dress you got me? Well, I found the perfect shoes to go with it. And the battle continues. And this happens for all your prom essentials. It happens for the tuxedo, for the limo ride, for the dinner. But nothing is worse than the corsage. What is the profit margin on the dead flower that I just paid $30 for? I will never get over that. And dinner. You gotta pay to go to some expensive restaurant, one of those places where they don't even have the prices on the menu. They just say, market price. Oh, really? Oh, $27 for a plate of spaghetti? What kind of fucking market is this? And your date, she doesn't get anything because she doesn't want to spill on her perfect dress. And you get one bite into your meal and drip a marinara sauce Picasso all over your shirt. And it's perfect because I definitely chose not to get that Men's Warehouse insurance policy that they urged me to get. So you take the limo ride there, you take the awkward prom pics, you go around to everyone at prom. Oh my God, Cindy, you look so cute. Oh, Mackenzie, your dress is so pretty. Oh, Kayla, when Michael asked you at the football game with that sign, that was so cute. So original. But you start to notice something at prom, that all the conversations that you keep having are just about prom and nothing else. You're not really connecting with anybody about anything more than just stuff. And you find yourself saying the same lines about the same things. But then you start dancing with your friends, and you start having a blast, and you start just not caring about anything. You just let yourself be vulnerable. And it starts at a base physiological reaction. My feet hurt. Guess I didn't really need to wear these shoes. My perfect shoes. And you're like, I'm hot. Why am I wearing a 3-piece tuxedo? I want my bro tank. And then the worst part, you look down at your wrist. Where the fuck is my corsage? It's gone. $30 down the drain. Now, you start to realize something. I think that prom is so important to us because it's one of these places where you have a big opportunity to grow. You start to realize you could be having just as much fun with half of the garbage you're wearing. All of the things that you thought you had to have in order to have a successful prom. And you can think about this and maybe realize that society's expectations that we so believe so hard maybe aren't always setting us up for actual interaction with human beings. And maybe that, dancing with our friends and being vulnerable and learning how to connect with people while being vulnerable maybe does set us up for success in life. Trust me, I'm 21, I know everything. Now, you get to your freshman year of college, and your school throws you some fun, safe, and sober dance, and you don't go because you're a sinner. Now, freshman year, parties in college are all about where you get to let go and have fun. Now, you walk through the doorway of your first college party. Who do I see? Caitlin Davis. She goes here. Not lying. You walk through the door of your first college party, and your eyes widen. Oh my God, the last time you saw girls this pretty, you were browsing Mom's Victoria's Secret catalog. There is an actual tub of alcohol in the middle of the room. Clothes appear to be somewhat optional. A whole new world. Maybe that cute girl from your dorm is here and you want to impress her with the sweet moves you've been struggling with over the, last decade or so. And this is where you really start to discover your correlation. Now, the more liquor that you have, I'm sure all of you know where this is going. The more liquor that you have, the better dancer you become. You can just kind of feel it. Things get a little bit looser. You're like, yeah, I'm feeling good. That is true until you reach line 241. Now, line 241 is the line that I found downtown at Creaky Tiki's 2-for-1 night. That's right, 2 tequila on the rocks for the price of 1 tequila on the rocks. It is a marvelous deal, but it gets me into a lot of trouble. Now, so as you can see on the graph provided, your danceability increases with the amount of liquor you consume. Then, at line 241, that curve goes down quickly. Because this, just got way harder. And standing up straight just got 100% more difficult. But you still want to keep dancing. You still want the groove. So what do? You go back to the circle of insecurity. Oh my God. But it's different this time because now, wow, I'm dizzy. It's different because now you're not doing it because you feel like you need to do it to survive. You're doing it because you're having a fucking blast doing it. We do a whole hell of a lot in life to avoid vulnerability. We attach ourselves to society's expectations so that we can prepare for the worst, so that we can avoid embarrassment, so we can do anything we possibly can to not be defenseless against vulnerability. And whether we, think we need a date to the dance, or think we need the perfect prom dress, or we need to know exactly how to grind, which I demonstrated. We spend a lot of our youth thickening this protective shell so that we could not freak out at every tiny off-wit comment that comes our way. But often we don't realize that this shell, it gives us a lot of problems because that natural energy that we radiate as people can become dampened, and that exterior personality we've created takes over. I bet even tonight, out in the lobby, maybe you ran across a colleague, or maybe you met someone new, and I bet you came across the question, how are you? And I bet you let that exterior personality answer that question, oh, I'm doing great, I'm awesome. Maybe you're not doing so great. Maybe you're not doing so awesome. Our natural tendency is to abstain from the truth, to avoid vulnerability. But when we dance, we create a shortcut to vulnerability. That armor opens up and we are exposed. You see, vulnerability gives us an ability to connect with people on a level that words just don't. So dance your heart out. Do this. Jump up and down, because it's going to bring a smile to your face and to others, and you will form connections and relationships that bring so much joy to your life. And you never even have to say a word. My name's Jordan. Thank you.